Hey everyone, welcome back to the Duck Under with Austin Pettigrew. And today we're going to talk about Oregon State's new head wrestling coach, Chris Pendleton. Now, if you don't know who Chris Pendleton is, he is a former Oklahoma State Cowboy where he was on the team from 2001 to 2006. He himself was a part of the four-peat of Oklahoma State's triumphant four-year run as the NCAA Wrestling Championships from the 2003, 2004, 2005, and 2006 NCAA tournaments. He's also, in his own right, a two-time national champion at 174 in 2004 and 2005, and a three-time All-American in 2003. And he has also been one of the top 10 wrestlers of the 2000s, voted by Internet, of course. He was competed internationally freestyle. He was a three-time United States national team member, 2013 World Team Trials runner-up, 2013 U.S. Open runner-up, and the 2012 Olympic Team Trials finalist. So, pretty accomplished wrestler. I mean, he's done a lot of good. I remember watching him wrestle a lot whenever he's at OSU on TV and stuff like that. He's one of my top 10 favorite Cowboys ever because he's just a stand-up guy. He's a great coach, fantastic coach. If you don't know where he's been at the past few years, he's actually been helping Zeke Jones of Arizona State as his assistant head coach for the past 6 seasons, where if you've seen how Zeke Jones has done at Arizona State, they've done fantastic, They've had multiple guys place, such as Anthony Robles, Zahid Valencia. They have numerous All-Americans, and they've had a few in the finals too. Like I said, Anthony Robles, Bubba Jenkins, Zahid Valencia, just to name a few. But they've also had multiple All-Americans under Zeke Jones, who has done a tremendous job at that program since he's gotten there. And Pendleton is the one that's helped him over those past few years as his assistant coach, where he's done a fantastic job too. They finished, the highest they finished, I believe, was 6th in the nation this year at least. I don't know what the highest they've ever finished, but they also were the team that snapped Penn State's 60-match win streak, so that's got to count for something if you looking at accomplishments. So bring down Penn State a few notches. But if you don't know about Oregon State's wrestling program, it's been around for a long time. And the coach who was there previously, his name was Jim Zalski. Jim Zalski had been there from roughly 14 years, I think. I think he got the job in 2007, and of course, he's not the head coach anymore. But under him, they had around 11 All-Americans, one including a Mr. Kobe Covington, who is crazy as can be, and as you can say, the knockoff American Conor McGregor. So he's coached around 11 All-Americans. His most recent ones, of course, have been Amir Desi and Ronnie Bresser, who Ronnie Bresser, was one of the top 125-pounders last year, and Amir Desi was also one of the top heavyweights last year, both of them respectively placing 5th and 8th, and both All-American. He's also coached Ty Watterson, like I said before, Kobe Covington, Clayton Jack, and Taylor Meeks. A few other accomplished guys who have wrestled for them. And Zalski himself, he was from Iowa. He wrestled there for Iowa during his wrestling years, of course. And he actually went undefeated for the last 2 years of his career, ending his college career on an 8-9 match winning streak. But Zalski's no longer the head coach there. They parted ways, is all I can say, really. I don't know the full detail. You never know the full detail, but they parted ways for his 14-year career there. And the person they hired to replace him was a Mr. Chris Pendleton. So, now, how did Chris get this job? Well, from my understanding, it was between two people, according to Flow at least. So, take that as you want it. But between two candidates, Chris Pendleton, who was Zeke Jones' assistant for the past 6 years at Arizona State, and believe it or not, another OSU Cowboy, Zach Esposito. And, both of them would have done a good job. But here's the reason why I think they went with Pendleton. He's been in the Pac-12 as an assistant coach under Zeke Jones for the past 6 seasons. He understands how the Pac-12 system works. Different wrestling conferences work different. And all I'm saying, the wrestling can be the same, but you have to understand the inner workings of the conference. Chris Pendleton understands it. Like I said, he's been with Zeke Jones the past 6 years at Arizona State. Esposito spent his whole career with John Smith in the Big 12, but there's nothing wrong with that. But still, that's probably the reason why they went with him where they went. He's familiar with the Pac-12 and who to recruit and all that kind of stuff. And, if you look at the successes they had, like I said, he was part of that Arizona State team that snapped Penn State's 60-match win streak this year. So that's brownie points if you're talking about anything. But, I'm sure he's helped guys get better, such as Tanner Hall, Zahid Valencia, Anthony Valencia, Teamer, Kramer, Maruka, Brandon Courtney, all those guys who I'm sure have benefited tremendously from having Chris Pendleton in their room with them. And, I really think he's going to be a successful head coach at Oregon State. It's kind of like I said before, Zalski did a good job. He led Oregon State to 5 Pac-12 conferences, and he had multiple guys All-American in NCAA championships. But the one thing Zalski couldn't do was produce a finalist. His closest to a finalist ever was Amir Desi, which I'll be honest with you, Desi isn't like the top notch of heavyweights, but he's a good All-American wrestler. I think Chris Pendleton can push Oregon State over that boundary between just All-Americans to having finalists and even champions. And I think this is an amazing hire by Oregon State. When you look at who's could be returning for him, you never know for all this stuff. They had 2 guys ranked according to the Flow. This is all according to the Flow rankings, but they had 2 guys ranked towards the end of the year. Devin Turner, who's their 133-pounder, he was ranked 14th. And I've watched a few of his matches. He isn't bad. He's a good wrestler. He stays in good position. He's not afraid to attack. You also have Grant Willits. He was ranked 24th at 141. And I'm sure that they will both be used to their full potential now under Chris Pendleton. If you look at their roster, you also have guys who I think will continue to grow under them, like Hunter Willits, Grant Willits' brother. You also have a few other guys, because this is a pretty young team. They are a very young team, mainly made up of freshmen and sophomores and a few juniors. I don't think they're graduating anyone. If they are, it's just like one person who kind of was in there and out of there. You also have Jamarcus Grant, who is a redshirt junior for him, who could be all right. And Colt Doyle, who is their 184-pounder, who could be all right for him, along with J.J. Dixon, who's a redshirt freshman, who I've heard good things about overall. So he's with a really young team, and I believe this is what Arizona State was looking for. They want someone to build upon their young culture and be able to grow it, just like whenever they bought in Zalski, how he grew their culture. They want Pendleton to continue that because Pendleton understands the Pac-12 mentality for their conference. And like I said, I think this is an amazing hire. Chris Pendleton's going to do, I believe, amazing work for Oregon State, and this is the steal of the century, I believe, right now, coaching-wise. We saw Campbell House hire Scotty Sentez. You don't know if Pendleton was in the running for that. You never know on that stuff. But Oregon State saw an opportunity like, hey, let's get Chris Pendleton. They brought him in. Simple solution. Now, as of right now, he, of course, doesn't have any coaching staff with him, but I'm sure that'll change soon. It's just going to take time and all that, finding the right people to bring in and all that. So that will just take a little bit of time. You never know. He may bring in guys who he has worked with before, like from Arizona State, and maybe from OSU, and maybe from people he's worked with while he was on the U.S. Olympic team and world team. So you never know. We'll find all that out later. That's just part of the details. But Chris Pendleton is your new Oregon State head wrestling coach, and the future, I believe, is going to be very bright for Oregon State. All right, guys, this has been the Duck Under with Austin Pettigrew, and remember, duck and cover.